Hey, how's it going? So, my name is Liz, and we're gonna have a little chat today because I'm gonna talk about ghosts. And I'm sitting by my window, and it is snowing, and I live in North Carolina, and snow is not happening often here, so if I get distracted with the snowflakes, just keep that in mind. So, we're going to chat about the paranormal because I have been absolutely obsessed lately with paranormal vlogs. And if you have been living under a rock for the past couple years, then paranormal vlogs are basically where people sit down, talk about their paranormal experiences, things that have been going on in their life, ghosts, aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, what have you. So, this is not the premise of this channel. I would like to do beauty reviews, things like that. I'm not that great at putting on makeup, but I think my eyebrows look nice today, so, you know. But I thought this would be a great first video to make because, first of all, everybody's making story time videos, so why not jump on the bandwagon? And secondly is I consider myself a sensitive, so I'm not actually like a medium. I can't tell the future, although I have had some dreams that, have predicted the future in the past. But I just consider myself sensitive to paranormal things. So basically what that means is I have a good feeling for energy. I can tell something's good or bad. Paranormal things approach me often, not as in they want me to help them connect with their loved one before they pass on into the light, but more so as in they know that they're there, so they always seem to come to me in some way. My mom is the same way. She can tell when things are near. My sister is the same way, although she likes to pretend like she can't. But it's just kind of something that runs in her family. I'm sure my grandmother is as well, although she's very, very old-fashioned, and I'm sure she would never, ever in a million years admit that she can see ghosts, because that would be wrong in her mind. But I have a couple different stories. I won't tell them all in this video, so if you want more after you listen to the first one, just leave a comment, and I can get back to you. And just kind of tell you some of the other things that I've experienced throughout my life. I'm 26 years old, so I have quite a bit of experiences, but this one is the most recent. So, all my life, I have grown up in the South. I lived in Kentucky, now I live in North Carolina, and if you know anything about the South, there's a lot of history here. So, there's a lot of things that go on. You know, a lot of past, a lot of brutal deaths, because of wars and such. So, I've come in contact with a lot of paranormal activities, just in general. Now, the funny thing about this is, my most terrifying paranormal experience actually happened while I was living in the Midwest. And I say my most terrifying because I felt the most threatened, and I felt like I would have the most physical harm while I was in this situation. Although nothing actually did harm me, thank goodness, because if it had, I don't know exactly how I would have handled that, because my husband is a skeptic. He doesn't believe in anything. He just wants to write everything off. So if it had harmed me, I'm not sure who I would have turned to while I was living there. But, so, 2 years ago, oh, sorry. Nose is running a little. 2 years ago, my husband and I moved to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So his work relocated him to the city of Cedar Rapids. We knew no one. We had no idea where we were going to live. And basically, we packed all of our belongings into a budget truck, drove 12 hours north of where we were living currently in Kentucky, and lived out of a hotel for a week until we could find an apartment to live in. So basically we chose the first apartment that would let us live there. That was, you know, a nice apartment complex. And I consider this a pretty nice apartment complex that we lived in. It was about 40 or 50 years old, I'd say, but it had been completely remodeled on the inside. So it was new. The kitchens were small, but they were nice, had new appliances, new carpet, and it was a townhouse. And we got a great price on rent, which was amazing for a townhouse because we had a lot of things and we needed somewhere to put all of them. So the bottom floor had the living room, the kitchen, and then the top floor had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And the way the bedrooms were laid out was you walked up the stairs, then there was the first bedroom, which was the bedroom that my husband and I decided would be our bedroom because it was the biggest and it had the most closet space. And then you had a second bedroom, which we decided would be our office / library / place to store all the crap that we couldn't put anywhere else in the apartment. And then at the end of that hall, you had a bathroom. So no one really went into the second bedroom. Even though it was considered our office, neither of us really worked from home at the time. So basically it just collected junk, and then that was where my husband had a separate monitor because occasionally he would game, but not often. He worked a lot. He was an engineer, so he was very, very busy. And I worked as a writer for a company there in Cedar Rapids. I wrote websites. And basically at around March, we had lived there for about 8 months at that point. We moved in July. Around March, the company that I worked for decided they would move all their writers to work from home. So I started working. Sorry, text message. I started working in that office. I had a dual monitor, just like I did when I worked in, at the actual site, which was great. And I could actually, work the same at home as I was in an office. So I kind of made that my writing studio. It was open, it was airy, I had a big, beautiful window in front of the desk. Like, everything was great. A lot of natural light. I very rarely ever turned the overhead light on because I loved having that natural light come in. There was a tree outside, so I would see birds and squirrels, and just, it was a very nice place to work for about a week. So no one ever went in there until I started working in there. And for about a week, I didn't notice anything was wrong. It felt normal. It felt fine. After about that first week, I got up for work on a Monday. I walk in because I worked very early in the morning. So the way my schedule was, I would get websites to write. I would go in. I would work very early in the morning, and then I would stop for the day. So basically, I sat down that Monday, and I just had this terrible feeling the entire time I was working. And it was like the air was heavy. At some points, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I just needed to get up and walk away. I don't know how many times I just stopped working and walked out of the room because I just felt heavy. I felt like there was kind of like a smoke in the room, and it was hard to breathe. I mean, if you're sensitive to paranormal things, if you've ever felt this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just the idea that there's too much energy in that room. And if you have an anxiety problem and you've ever been in a room with 30 people in a small enclosed space and you just feel like you cannot breathe because there's too much energy in that room, that's how I felt. But I was alone. So I spent that day getting up and down, walking out, going downstairs, just trying to get out of that room. And it progressively got worse. So if you can imagine how bad it was the first day, it got worse and worse and worse. To the point where I didn't even want to go to work in the morning. I would delay going to work, or I would go and I would sit down and I would write really, really, really fast because I wanted to get done so I could get out. I started taking my laptop downstairs to finish up websites. I started, working from the bed, which was extremely uncomfortable and gave me back problems, but it was better than sitting in that room. Eventually it got to the point where I started seeing shadows out the corner of my eye, something that I'd never seen in that apartment at all, ever. So this apartment was not haunted. I didn't think it was. You know, I never felt uneasy in any other part of the apartment except for in this room. And I would see shadows just dart by me. You know, and I would always chalk it up to, oh, it's just the light coming in the window, making the shadows. You know, no big deal. I'm just seeing things. I'm here by myself. I'm upstairs. I'm just scared because there's no one here with me, and I have my back to the entire apartment. You know, that kind of idea, because the way that the desk was set up was my desk faced the window, and then I had the entire room behind me, then the door, and then the rest of the apartment was to my back. Which, if you have anxiety as well, you're probably freaking out right now, because that probably just sent you over the edge. But, so I just saw these shadows out of the corner of my eye. And then it got to the point where it was the heaviness and it was the shadows. And then I remember after about a month in, I could just feel like there was someone standing behind me the entire time I was working. And it was just scary. I mean, this is just, to be completely honest, is I was very frightened. And there was a closet door behind my desk, and it was a double door closet. So it opened up one door and it pulled apart, kind of like French doors, I guess, ish. And I would hear things moving in the closet. And just keep in mind that this was a storage room. So the only thing in that closet was big boxes of books, you know, textbooks that my husband and I had from college, papers left over from college, a couple of coats that maybe we couldn't fit in our actual closet. You know, there was nothing in there that could fall or move or anything. We didn't have any kind of mice or anything in the apartment. One, it was way too cold in Cedar Rapids for mice, and two, it's just we never seen any before. So, I mean, I just kept hearing something shuffling around, like it was pacing back and forth inside the closet. And the way the closet was set up is somebody could essentially pace back and forth inside the closet. And it didn't sound like a person. I know that sounds really weird, but it didn't sound like a person. It sounded more like an animal pacing. Like if you've ever been to the zoo and you go to like the big cat house and you see the lions just pacing, that's how it felt to me. Like it was, you know, that's how it sounded, that's how it felt. It didn't feel like a person. And it got to the point where eventually I was ready to leave. I didn't want to be in there. I started packing everything that I needed downstairs. I started making an office downstairs at the kitchen table. You know, I brought down the monitor. I was done with this room. And whatever was in there, wanted to make sure I was 100% done with this room. So I was working late, which I do very, very often. And it was probably around midnight, 1 o'clock, I'd say, in the morning. My husband was already asleep because he had to be up for work at 7 a.m. So he went to sleep before I did on most nights because I worked late. I had just finished work. I had just turned the light off in that office, and I was getting ready for bed. And the bathroom is at the end of the hall, and it's right next to this spare room office. And the way the sink and the mirror is, the mirror reflects the office just a little bit, just the doorway. And I was getting ready. I had just brushed my teeth. I was washing my face. I was patting my face dry. And I look up, and it looks like there is a shadow figure in that doorway. And not a tall one either. You know, I'm about 5'1", and this figure was shorter than me. Just in that doorway, you know. And I thought, okay, this can't be actually there, you know, because all the lights were off except for the bathroom. So I thought, you know, there has to be an explanation for it because, you know, I didn't want to believe that there was actually something there. So I finish up. I'm hurrying because I want to get into bed. And as soon as I flip the bathroom light off, to go walk down the hallway, which was only maybe 3 or 4 steps to my bedroom door. As soon as I flip that light off, I hear this grumbling, okay, kind of start up. And I thought, okay, what is this, And then as I took a step out of the door, it turned into this low, guttural, just growl. If you've ever heard a dog about to attack, that was what it sounded like. It sounded like I was about to be attacked by whatever was in this room. And I'm sure if I had stepped a foot in, or if I had stayed in that doorway any longer, I would have been attacked. That's how it felt. And it's, as soon as I heard that growl, and it just got progressively deeper and progressively more terrifying and more menacing, this rush of energy just went all over my body. It was like whatever it was had been standing in the far corner and had ran at me, charged me full speed. But it stopped at that doorway. It was like it couldn't go out of that room for whatever reason, which I'm very thankful for. But it just stopped right there at that door. But the energy from it, I could feel it. Like the hair on my arms stood up, the hair on my head whooshed, kind of moved back, like I just been hit with this big gust of air. And I could feel it all the way up my spine. And the whole time there was just growling coming from that room. So obviously I ran into the bedroom and I woke my husband up, and I knew he would say, oh, it was nothing, but I woke him up because I needed someone to know what had happened. So I told him what had happened, and he said, oh, the neighbors have a dog. Obviously, you just heard that dog growling. But the way our apartment is that room was not attached to anyone else. So it was open to the air. There was no way I could mistake a dog growling 2 apartments down for being 2 feet in front of me in this room. So that was the last straw. I was done. I didn't go back in that room, and I kept the door shut for the rest of the time that we lived there. The only person who would go in there would be my husband on occasion if he wanted to get a book or he had something in that closet that he needed to get. If I needed anything out of that room, I made him go and get it because he never felt uneasy in there. Ever. He would stay up on the weekends and play games. He would game in that room for hours and never feel anything. So we moved out of that apartment. We moved back to the south. And as I was packing up the belongings in that room, I kept feeling that same feeling again. Hearing the shuffling noises, hearing the closet doors rattling, and that was the first room I packed up because I did not want to have to spend any more time in there than I had to. So I got everything done as fast as I could, and then we left. And I honestly think that whatever was in there didn't want me in that room. I don't know why me and not my husband. I don't know why it targeted me. I don't know if it knew that I was going to believe that it was there, or if I was more sensitive to it, or whatever, but it definitely targeted me, and it won. I feel like if there's something growling at you, or if there's a demonic presence, which I do think this was a demonic presence, you don't play games with it. You don't taunt it. You don't say, oh, I'm going to come back in here. No, if it wants to win, it wins, And I knew that it couldn't leave that room. I could tell that night that it growled at me, that it could not leave that room. For some reason, I'm not sure why, but it was stuck in that room. So, that is my most recent paranormal experience. I've had little things since, but nothing like video worthy. But that was my most recent and my most terrifying paranormal experience that I've ever had. Most of my other paranormal experiences have been fairly good. A couple others scary, but nothing like this. So, if you want more paranormal vlogs, videos, stories, whatever, just let me know in the comments. If you watch this video and you like it, subscribe. If you like it, subscribe. You know, if you... Okay. And hopefully there'll be more in the future. So have a great day and be on the lookout for more videos, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.